16-bit sensation, another layer is here, and my gosh, it is everything I wanted to be and so much more. This show it's pretty much the Shirobako of visual novels. Now, we do have like a little bit of a time difference here in regards to technology and whatnot, but it really does feel like it's going for that. It's like this love letter to old bishojo games and visual novels that just oozes nostalgia. Like anything technology wise just oozes that nostalgia. It also feels like one of those stories that's about the passion for the thing that you love so much. The changing times, the changing technologies, pushing yourself to do the thing that you love, despite the fact that it seems like everything else is pushing you back. And yes, it almost also feels like a middle finger to gacha games and everything else. But man, where do I start with this show? Essentially, it's supposed to be based off a manga that was actually conceptualized and done by a group of people that all worked with Aqua Plus. Which, for those who know who Aqua Plus is a publisher who has underlying companies like Leaf and stuff like that did things like Utawaramono and Two Heart 2. It's just like a group of people that all have been involved with the visual novel industry, and they've pretty much conceptualized a show itself or a manga and then an anime itself. But yeah, let's get into what 16-bit sensation is about. It essentially opens up with this girl named Konaha. And Konaha, she is working for this company that is in our current times in Japan, 2023. And this company is making visual novels. Well, mostly games based around the concept of hypnosis and big chests and stuff like that. They're just like a company that just doesn't really have much money to invest in bigger projects, so they just kind of focus on these really cheap budget games. And Konoha has grown up with the best of the best, like all these bishojo games that she absolutely loves, like things from Key and whatnot. Stories that have female characters that have struggles and things they go through until eventually they overcome those struggles. These big grand scale epics, and yes, this is something that she looked forward to doing when she grew up. She's an illustrator, and she has this heroine that she really hopes one day basically breathed to life by a game. She doesn't just want to be an illustrator. She wants a game to sort of make that character come to life. And so while she's working at this company and she's afraid of leaving it, and she's, again, nostalgic for old style games that are dying away, she looks around in the big city and sees all these massive billboards and whatnot that are all about gacha games. Yes, they being from that this is an Aniplex published anime. This has a lot of references, things like Magia Record, Fate Grand Order. They still have Octary up there and stuff. So it still seems like they're trying to show that bishojo games still exist. But you're kind of getting the sense here that everything around her is just nothing but gacha games, Engage, Kiss, and whatnot. Well, as she's kind of getting beat down and she's losing hope around the idea of ever being an illustrator for one of these big games, she decides to go to a shrine and offer a prayer there. Well, as she's on her way back home, she ends up spotting this old DVD game store. It's being run by this old lady, and she immediately sees this little bargain bin, and it's full of like first print stuff, like Canon first print, and she freaks out, like, why is this only 100 yen? Why is it in this bin? And so she runs to the manager and says, hey, I don't want to buy this, but you really should mark this up. Somebody's just going to buy this and then mark it up online. And she's like, I don't know what this thing is. It's like this old lady, and she's like, I don't know what it is. Tell me about it. And so Konoha is like, really? I could tell you about this game? And being that she's like a massive bishojo game fan, she just starts blurting out everything about Canon and talking about the main girl and how she goes, ugu. Hearing that Seiyu do ugu was great. It's basically the Seiyu that did Kaguya from Kaguya-sama Love is War. So hearing her do the ugu was priceless. After she realized that she's been taking way too much of this old lady's time and she goes back to work, this lady stops her and says, it sounds like you really love video games. You really love cute girls. She's like, yeah, I love these games. I love these cute girls. They're more than just cute girls, though. These are characters that have struggles. They go through trials, and they have the strength to stand up and overcome those trials. So they're more than just a cute drawing. Again, going back to Konoha's desire, she draws really cute girls. She's got one up on her wall. I hope one day I can make this character a main character of her own story. She wants it to come to life in a game. We'll cut forward. She goes back to work. She gets off work. She goes by that store again, wants to drop by and thank the old lady, but then the place is gone. It's just completely empty, and inside there is a bag and a thank you letter from the old lady. She's She's like, wow, there's no way that somebody can clear out a shop that fast. It just doesn't make any sense. Kind of feeling like she's been delusional or something like that. But she goes to a restaurant and she opens up this bag and it's full of all those games from that bargain bin. Well, as she opens up one of the games, a bright light comes from it and she's transported back to 1992. Yes, the so-called golden age of visual novels. She's freaking out. All of her devices, for some reason, at this point are all running out of battery. She can't communicate to anybody. She's freaking out. She ends up going to where her work was, which is now like a really small place called Alcohol Software or something like that. She ends up running into this boy who's a programmer there, ends up being taken in because it's so cold. Everybody's taking care of her. They think that she's delusional because she's saying she's from the future. And eventually, she asks if she can work there. She's an illustrator. So they're like, yeah, sure, why not? It seems a little risky. We're not hiring. You're not going to get paid, but sure, why not? We'll see what you can do. In Konaha's mind right now, she's thinking to herself, okay, well, I really want to be an illustrator of one of these golden age games. I now am in this time frame, so now I have my chance. She thinks that she's going to have the upper hand because she's so good at illustrating and she could bring her skills to this time period. The problem is, yes, it's 1992. Her tablet's drained. They don't have tablets in this time period. They have these old computers, 16-bit computers. They're making 16-bit game, paint program with a ball mouse. Click each pixel to a different color. That old. You scan in your illustration to grayscale, and then you click one by one each pixel. It's like one of those moments where you suddenly hear the creators in the background going, you kids these days don't know how easy you have it. You with your tablets and your pens, we used to have to click each pixel. Yes, the idea of being limited to 16 colors, doing dithering techniques in order to make a shade look like it's a different color. All these things she now has to learn. But she's dedicated. She pushes herself constantly. She's there, again, not technically getting paid, having to sleep over there, and she is determined that she wants to be a part of this. All the way to the point where she helps this group kind of make their first game, and then poof, she appears back into the current times, which kind of sucks for the end of the second episode, but I'm sure she's going to go back. I'm just kind of curious now at this point what this is going to be about. Why she got to go back and forth? Because that's always the kind of question mark. Or if her being back there affects things. That's going to be a good question mark too, but yes, my thoughts on 16-Bit Sensation. I absolutely love this show. Now, I'm going to put a warning here because I've already kind of seen a little bit of whispers here and there about this. I don't know how widespread it is, but yes, Konaha is loud. Konaha is basically Kaguya-sama Love is War Kaguya when she's internal dialogue all the time, just very loud. And that's probably going to be a sticking point for some people. I know that a lot of people love her seiyuu, so that's probably going to get a pass for a lot of people. But I love her. I love her to death. I think she's super cute. She's super fun. And I think that voice, if she can maintain it, I hope she's not damaging her voice, shows that passion that Konaha has. This seiyuu is so selling me on Konaha. She is young. She wants to get into this industry. She's pushing her desires to be able to bring to life her heroine. This is her dream. She's always dreamed of it. And she loves bishojo games. She absolutely loves cute characters. She's my spirit animal. She's my spirit animal. Konaha is like literally so many otaku. It's not even funny. The way she speaks about certain things, like, I feel you, girl. I feel you, girl. Like the first time she appears in 1992, she immediately gets on her phone, which ends up dying, and saying, if anybody sees this, please delete my hard drive. Don't look at it. Her room is full of cute girls. She just loves all this stuff. You see that passion in her character, and that's what I think kind of helps for this show as a whole, this story as a whole, is this idea of this golden age of bishojo games, this golden age of visual novels that a lot of people, and I'm not a visual novel fan. I mean, I have visual novels. I don't really have time to read them. I've watched a lot of stories based on them. I've played Clannad and stuff like that in Planetarian. There is this love for this old style of thing. And honestly, right now, and I think this story really is trying to touch on the subject, visual novels are kind of dying. As they were, visual novels are dying. Visual novels used to be, and they're kind of hitting on it here and there, like with Mamoru, the boy that she runs into. He's the son of the guy that I think runs the company, and he's just working there in order to help his dad. He's a programmer. He doesn't want to be a part of these games. He thinks these games are crap. The only reason that they're kind of popular is because they're easy to make, and there's just not that many of them. But he says there's gonna come a time where people get tired of them. He's kind of right. Eventually, at some point, people are going to kind of get tired of them, or there's going to be too much of them, or what he doesn't know is technically that visual novels like this have kind of shifted into other industries. They've shifted into gacha games. They've shifted outside of the realm of just being a single story about these characters and their growth. And that's something that Konaha kind of misses. She's kind of like, wow, I want to make that next game. And it's kind of funny to see this kind of being produced by, Aniplex and stuff like that, because it's literally, at some point in the first episode, it feels like Konaha is literally saying, I hate these games. I hate gacha games. Everything's turning to gacha games. It's all turning to anime. That's where people go to see their cute girls and stuff like that. Cute girls are everywhere. Bishojos are everywhere. And she's right by saying that to him. Bishojo is everywhere. Cute girls all over the place. All of these billboards. But they're not these style of games. They're not visual novels. They're turning into other industries. And like I've told a lot of people, it's especially gacha games. It's just like Key. Key is a studio that a lot of people love. They make things like Canon and stuff like that. A very beloved visual novel group. But, as you can kind of see, they're slowly moving into gacha games. And eventually, they'll probably stop doing visual novels. That's the sad thing. And again, even with companies like Aniplex producing this, they do things like Atari and stuff like that. You'll see those billboards all over the place in the anime as well. But that's kind of like that last bit of hope. They hope to stay in that realm, but it's slowly dying. It's really sad. And again, you're kind of seeing how Konoha's a bit depressed by that. Any company that would normally make other games, they're making these smut games, basically. They're making these arrow games because that's the best way to turn a quick buck. Doesn't take much investment. Just make a bunch of wish fulfillment and lots of, lewd art and then stick it out there. And that's the thing that I'm kind of loving about the show is it's kind of showing that contrast. It's showing that lack of passion in the current time as people are making these hypnosis games. And then she goes back in time and she's this little small group studio and they're all very, cozy. Everybody wants to support each other. There's these other two girls that whenever Konoha gets a little bit depressed, they just hug her and she's like, oh, it's that old studio feeling. It's trying to hit on a lot of that stuff, that camaraderie to make something that they have passion for. It's doing it. I have so much to talk about with this show and I'm not even barely scratching the surface. But yeah, it all goes back to the fact that I really do love Konoha. I love her personality. I love her passion for what she does. And my heart breaks for the fact that she is feeling like she's not going to be able to do this. This is not going to happen. I'm failing. Nobody understands what I'm trying to tell them, that this is something that I really want to make. I want to breathe to life this cute character that I created. I want to give her an adventure, a story, a trial, and an overcoming of something. But yeah, I loved her room though. Like her room is just full of, let's face it, Aniplex stuff. It's like I got a kick out of it because just before she comes home, she has this brief moment where she's noting this idea that her boss said everybody just plays gacha games in anime, that they want these cute girls, bishojos. And she's looking up at these billboards and it's Fate Go and it's Magia Record. And she's basically mad at these gacha games. And then she goes home and literally there's these little sticker things of Magia Record characters. But yeah, she got like Snafu, Magia Record. I think she had Fate Go stuff in there as well. Just tons of stuff all over in her room. It's great. Licorice Coil, tons of Licorice Coil stuff. My gosh, they're trying to keep that alive too. Atari, Engage Kiss. It's just references all over the place that I do love. I do love this idea of actually having actual brands in an anime. I like that lack of fear of doing stuff like that. And yes, it often cases requires them to have somebody in the production team that has some sort of ownership in order to do that. But it's still kind of cool. Even though in the used area, besides the canon and stuff like that reference and rants and stuff like that, they had like these bogus name titles like Metal G Solid, which I'm sure that's probably going to cause some issues. Kingdom of Hearts or something like that, or Kingdom Two Hearts. Anyways, other characters. I think Mamoru is interesting. He's definitely going to be the counter to Konoha. He's the guy that doesn't want to have anything to do with this industry. He's like, I'm just going to program this thing. My programming's perfect. There's no bugs. Everybody kind of pushes the code and it kind of breaks. And he's like, no, it's not my fault. It's your fault. My code's perfect. And he doesn't want to be here. He wants to go to a real game company. He thinks that Bishojo games and stuff like that is just a fad. He wants to go to a real gaming company to program for them. He needs to get to another country if that's the case. There's a lot of good Japanese games. I'm just joking. Or get into mobile games. Get into gacha games early. Kaori and Meiko are great as well. They're very much so like moral support for Konaha. There's obviously a little bit of those two of those girls trying to push Konaha and Mamoru together, which is kind of cute. It just got a good cast of characters so far that's kind of supporting the story of Konaha. But yeah, I think the thing that kind of pushed me so much to really enjoy this show is it's really kicking off that vibe. I'm getting a similar sense. It's not quite there. I'm not going to say one for one here. A lot of sense of Shirobako. It's got a great little feel of this is what the industry is. And again, this is not like Shirobako, where Shirobako was kind of more, you know, current times. So the technology was still hand-drawn, not so much tablets and stuff like that. But it was kind of in that area of showing you that time frame of this is how anime is made. And it's really cool because you're getting a story while at the same time you're seeing the struggles and you're seeing the process of making anime. And this is kind of that same feel. This is see how these old visual novels, these old bishojo games were made in 1992. So this is not the technologies they use these days, but it's cool to kind of see that insight into it. Now, granted, because she's going back into the current times, I'm not sure how much time she's going to spend there. It could be a story about doing both. This is the new technology, this old technology. And that passion, and seeing how that worked back then might actually help her in the current times. I'm not sure exactly where the story's going, but it could be one of those elements of not so much her being stuck in that time and doing what she wants to do back there in the golden age, or her using her knowledge and her experiences back here in the golden age to make something in the current times. I don't know. I don't know exactly how this story's going to be. If that's the case, I don't think we're going to get really much anywhere in the storyline if that's the case, because you're basically be telling two different stories. But still, it's cool to see that old technology. It's to see what they used to have to go through, how they had to program this stuff. They didn't have just some engine and they just plop art in it. They had to painstakingly program this stuff, and yes, painstakingly click their images in. It's just crazy to see that kind of difference in technology, and yes, it's just like massive nostalgia. I had these moments where when she first arrived there and she seen the billboard and it said something like colored televisions, I'm like, yeah, that's a damn good sign that you are definitely back in the past. When they used to have to advertise colored television, even in 1992, yes, you're back there. I mean, they didn't have many things to advertise a television for, like HD, 1080, UHD, all that kind of stuff. It was colored. It had colors on it. But no, it's just like a great little kind of insight that technology, and yes, the computers and the floppy disks and all that kind of stuff. It's just massive nostalgia. It's kind of getting back there for me, but still it's kind of that. Yeah, I used to mess with a lot of that kind of technology, so it's really cool to kind of see it. There was one little moment where I'm like, why is she making this more difficult than it really should be? Like, Konaha first shows up there and she still has the games with her in the bag. And it's like she's trying to prove that she's trying to tell them that she's from the future. And they're like, oh, you're obviously crazy. I'm going to call the police. And she's like, no, don't call the police. I really am from the future. And it's like, girl, just take out your tablet. Okay, the tablet battery's dead. Still, that's a pretty good sign that she's got tech that's not around this time period, for dang sure. I mean, they're calling it a PDA, personal digital assistant, which is like, yeah, even back then, those things weren't that good and that small and whatnot. But it's like, you have literally the game they're making in your bag. Say, look, I have the game you're making. Well, at the time, she didn't know that, but eventually she does learn that because she's helping them make the game. I thought that was kind of funny, but it doesn't bother me too much. You know, you don't want to reveal those cards too early. Maybe we can use that for a cool story bit later on as her actually, proving to them that she's from the future. But at least it'll be less likely if they call the police or kick you out of the place. But yeah, nostalgia, Shirobako, visual novels, fun characters at the same time, great little story about overcoming trials, doing what you want to do, having passion, having that dream that you want to seek out. There's just so many things that this show's doing, and I probably have not done it enough justice. And I absolutely love it. I am looking forward to more. It's just everything that I wanted it to be and more. But I hope you guys enjoy this video. Hopefully my passion came through to you guys and expressing how much I love this. It's kind of one of those ones where I don't know that I could ever do it justice, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, make sure to hit that like button down below, comment. Let me know what you think of the series if you're going to be checking it out. Additionally, if you're new to the channel, make sure that subscribe button to get all my content. I do news, reviews, first impressions, top list. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, if you like this content and you want to support more, I have a Patreon link, tips link, super thanks, membership button down below. Greatly appreciate what it does, and y'all take care.